Now we're going to move on to some very sad news, but it is quite literally directly related to what we had talked about with respect to at least like the climate change funding initiatives that is built into the IRA package. And that is, of course, unfortunately, the floods that are currently happening in Kentucky. Now, Kentucky's flood season oftentimes peaks during February. This is actually unprecedented. Unprecedented specifically for the middle of summer. So, you know, that is really a sad time here in Kentucky as flooding death tolls continue to rise. I believe it was 14 originally, and now they're saying 22, but the numbers, according to Bashir, is going to be much higher.
Governor Andy Bashir getting a first-hand look at some of the devastation caused by the flooding in eastern Kentucky. Already, more than 1,400 rescues have been carried out. Many residents are still unaccounted for, but the governor offering some hope.
We did find a lot of people in the West that we feared the worst for, and as cell phone coverage picked up in the days that followed, we found a lot of people that we reunited with their families.
Some of the hardest hit areas are still difficult to reach.
You've got some kind of natural disaster. It's usually in a geographically defined area. Well, the geographically defined area here is everywhere.
ABC's Mola Lengi is in Kentucky.
With more rain in the forecast, officials are taking precautions, trying to prevent more damage like this. This house behind me used to sit right here in front of me before it was swept off of its foundation. Somehow, someone survived this.
Carl Hall was on his porch when the water started rushing in.
It kept getting deeper and deeper, and time I got to almost to the top,
it was up to your neck.
Up to my neck.
15 emergency shelters are now open for evacuees, some who've lost everything.
I don't know where to start, what to do, where to go.
As some begin to pick up the pieces, they're concentrating on the positives.
I'm grateful that my family made it out and the Lord took real good care of us. It's just things, you know. I have a beautiful wife and 4 baby girls, and the 11-day-old right now. She said, we're safe.
The National Guard and FEMA already helping these devastated communities, but residents are still relying on donations from the public.
Don't forget about us. This isn't going to be something that's a week or 2 weeks. This is going to be months and years to rebuild.
Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
Bro.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking.
When your infrastructure is not designed in a way to withstand some of the most devastating impacts of climate change, when you refuse to recognize that climate change is even fucking happening, as our politicians, including Mitch McConnell, regularly avoids talking about, you are going to, of course, run into these sorts of issues. The saddest part about this, of course, is that, unfortunately, the poorest areas get impacted the most. We saw this with Puerto Rico. It's regularly the poorest people that suffer in places like Kentucky and not people like Mitch McConnell. Why? Why can't there be any karmic justice? There is EKY Mutual Aid, by the way. That is the mutual aid group. So far, Terrence Ray of Trillbillies has been paying for flood relief supplies out of the Trillbillies account. But I want to wait till we get a clearer picture of things before giving out my Venmo or GoFundMe. For now, I recommend following and giving to EKY Mutual Aid or anything else here for the Appalachian flood support. If you live in other parts of Kentucky, VA, or Tennessee, and want to make sure stuff gets delivered, literally just go buy shitloads of supplies, water, diapers, cleaning supplies, and food, and drive them down and deliver it. Follow Pikeville Pride for good info on where to drop it off. If you're in the region, if you're in the neighborhood, if you're around there, you can potentially help out personally as well. As someone who lives in this general region, flooding like this happens multiple times a year, and is this deadly? Since at least 2015, it has been like this. Such bullshit that people are just now caring. Pisses me off. People have to die before it gets covered. Wonder what important person died for ABC to cover this. I don't think a single important person died. I think it's just it's a consequence of a slow news day for the people of Kentucky. Because most of the people that die in floods like this, most of the people that die or are lost in floods like this, most people that lose their homes in floods like this, unironically, are some living in the poorest of a relatively poor state. It's Appalachia. It's just how it is. Everyone that lives there is working class, very poor, suffered some of the worst consequences of manufacturing moving overseas. They live next to the river. What? Like, what's your argument, dude? Uproot your house? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck kind of take is that? The nice neighborhoods are not the ones that they fucking put in a region that can easily flood. As a matter of fact, when they do have nice neighborhoods that are in the floodplains, they will build fucking levees specifically so goddamn high that the naturally occurring phenomena of like water basically going into the ground does not happen because, you know, there might be a little bit of flooding that spreads to those rich neighborhoods. So then it ends up completely dumping into poor neighborhoods regardless. We also just let people live in trailers and straight pipe their ways to their backyard instead of funding for proper septic and foundations to keep homes grounded. Yeah. You can build to protect against floods. See Netherlands. USA uses insurance, not as much infrastructure. Yeah.